Open your wallet. Everything inside it is worthless. The paper can't be eaten. The cards are plastic. The numbers in your banking app are just pixels on a screen, and yet you'd trade a week of your life for enough of them. That's not stupidity. It's the most successful trick our species ever invented. It's older than writing, older than the wheel, older than almost everything you'd call civilization. So tonight we're going back, all the way back, before coins, before banks, before money existed at all, to find out what humans actually used instead. And the answer is going to break something you were taught in school. Let's start with what you think you know. School taught you the story. Before money, there was barter. 10 chickens for a goat, a basket of fish for a new axe. Everyone haggling in the village square until, one day, somebody clever invented coins to make it all easier. It's clean. It's logical. There's just one problem with it. It never happened. In 1985, a Cambridge anthropologist named Caroline Humphrey went through every study she could find, from every corner of the world, looking for a society that actually ran on barter. Her conclusion became famous in her field. No example of a barter economy, pure and simple, has ever been described. Not one. In more than a century of anthropologists living with communities on every continent, nobody ever found the world your textbook drew. Barter shows up between strangers sometimes, between enemies occasionally, but a village of neighbors swapping chickens for goats as a way of life, that world is fiction, a guess made by economists imagining backwards from their own time. So if the starting point of everything you learned about money is made up, what did people actually do? Here's the strange part. You already know. You did it the last time a friend paid for dinner. You didn't hand him a chicken. You didn't calculate an exchange rate between pizza and favors. You just remembered, and next time, you got it. That's the system. That was the whole system. For tens of thousands of years, the village ran on the tab. You helped raise your neighbor's roof. The village remembered. She gave your family meat when the hunt went well. Everyone remembered that too. Nothing was priced. Nothing was paid. And yet nothing was free. Every favor lived in the shared memory of people who saw each other every single day. Your reputation was your bank account. Your neighbor's memory was the ledger. And it worked, beautifully, for one reason. The village was small enough that nobody could disappear on a debt. Money didn't replace barter. Money replaced memory. The day the group got too big for everyone to remember. Which brings us to the moment humans invented writing. And here's the part nobody tells you. We didn't invent it for poetry. Not for prayers. Not for love letters. Not for stories. The oldest writing on Earth, pressed into clay in Mesopotamia around 5,000 years ago, is overwhelmingly one thing: accounting. Lists of grain owed, sheep delivered, rations distributed. Some of the oldest written records in human existence document workers being paid in beer. Think about that for a second. The first thing our species ever felt the need to write down wasn't a poem about the sunset. It was the tab, who owed what to whom, because the tab had finally outgrown the human head. So we pressed it into clay, where it couldn't be forgotten and couldn't be argued with. Then trade stretched past the village, past the city, out to strangers who didn't share your temple or your tab. And a stranger won't take your reputation as payment. He needs something he can carry home. So humans started promoting objects into money, and the objects they chose tell you exactly what money needs to be. Small ocean shells, cowries, became currency across Africa and Asia for centuries. Durable, hard to fake, easy to count. Bars of salt moved through Ethiopia as money you could, in an emergency, eat. Cattle, cloth, beads. Some people even claim the word salary comes from Roman soldiers' salt allowance. Historians argue about that one, but the fact that it's believable tells you how real salt money was. Notice though, every one of these still kept one foot in reality. You could eat the salt. You could wear the shells. The final step, the step that created the world you live in, was stranger. The final step was an island that made money out of pure agreement. In the Western Pacific, there's a tiny island called Yap, And for centuries, its most prestigious money was stone. Not pebbles, wheels, giant limestone discs, some taller than a man, quarried on another island hundreds of kilometers away and hauled home across open ocean by canoe. The size mattered, the history mattered, the danger of the voyage mattered. Every stone carried its story like a serial number. And here's the beautiful part. The biggest stones were too heavy to move, so the islanders didn't move them. When a stone changed hands, a marriage, an alliance, a debt settled, the island simply agreed that it had. The disc stayed exactly where it was, leaning against the same tree in front of the old owner's house. Everyone just updated the ledger they kept in their heads. Sound familiar? It should. It's the village tab again, with rocks as the receipts. But one stone made this island famous. Generations ago, a crew was hauling a magnificent disc home across the sea when a storm hit. To survive, they cut it loose, and the stone sank to the bottom of the ocean. Everyone made it back alive. The money didn't. Except, here's what the island decided. The stone still existed. It was down there after all. Everyone on the crew swore to how magnificent it was. So its owner was still rich, and for generations afterward, one family's wealth included a stone lying on the sea floor that no living person had ever seen. You're laughing at them. Don't, because in 1932, the most powerful financial institution on Earth did the exact same thing. That year, the Bank of France asked the United States to convert its dollars into gold, billions in today's terms. And here's what actually happened. Nothing crossed the ocean. Officials at the Federal Reserve in New York simply went down to the vault, moved the gold into separate drawers, and labeled the drawers as belonging to France. That's it. The newspapers screamed that America was losing gold. Markets shook. Currencies moved. And decades later, the economist Milton Friedman wrote a famous essay pointing out the obvious. How exactly was that different from the stone at the bottom of the sea? The gold never moved. The stone never surfaced. In both cases, wealth changed hands because everyone agreed it had, and for no other reason at all. Then, in 1971, the last thread to reality was quietly cut. The dollar stopped being convertible to gold entirely. Since that day, through every paycheck you've ever received, the money in your pocket has been backed by nothing except the same force that backed a sunken rock in the Pacific. Everyone agreeing to keep agreeing. So, what did ancient humans use before money? They used memory, they used trust, they used the tab. And when the tab outgrew the village, they invented tokens for it. Clay, shells, salt, stone. Each one just a new way of writing down the same ancient agreement, which means the thing in your wallet was never the invention. The agreement was the invention, and it has been running, unbroken, for tens of thousands of years. You joined it the day you were born. You will spend your entire life inside it. The paper really is worthless. It always was, and that might be the most human thing about you, because your species didn't get rich by finding treasure. It got rich by believing each other. Tomorrow morning, you'll trade hours of your one life for numbers on a screen, and it will work, again, flawlessly, because 100,000 mornings ago, someone did a favor for a neighbor, and both of them remembered.